bitterness and anger and lust and love. But there are things that I can't relate to. And so I hope that whomever decides to read it, right, gets to know me a little bit more. I'm going to feel absolutely naked, and not in a good way, because these are my deepest and inner workings of despair. Some of it is very creative, and I sew in my emotions within it, but a lot of it is, this is my truth, y'all. Like, this is my truth. Whatever you're creating is worthy and valuable to come into this world and be shared. At the conference, I have a total girl crush on her because her energy is so just sure and takes up space, which is really what my aim is to take up more space. Dr. Giles at the Women Who Do Business conference, she said so many things, but she said to basically live out your purpose that you are called to do. Because there is a space that you are here to fulfill, and people are falling into the hole because you are afraid or feel insecure, or you're not worthy enough, or that you know enough to live in your purpose and be active in it. Every step that you take is dope. And sometimes we're so focused on where, we haven't gotten to, or comparing ourselves or whatever. And that's just not what we're here for. So I am going to put on Spanish trap music, aka Bad Bunny, who just dropped a new album. And I am going to realign my sacral chakra. If you haven't heard that episode, go back, Sacral Brew, to celebrate this. It is an honor. It is an honor to be able to write, to be able to create a space to express myself in almost all of my languages. I speak a little bit of K-drama Korean, so I could get a little romantic with y'all. I don't dare write in French. Maybe one day, not too far. But I was born with these languages. Spanish first, Spanish and Creole first, and then English, which isn't native. I just, like anyone who ends up going to school in America, you learn English on the way. And there's a poem that's completely in Spanish. Why? Because my love is trilingual, and I feel things more in my languages, which are Spanish and Haitian Creole. I didn't feel like this book fit anywhere. It doesn't match any of the themes that I've seen before, and I could just need to read more poetry, which is something I'm gonna work on doing more of. I needed a space, and I created it. And so the the whole that I carried within myself, I put it into these pages. And now this hole is filling up and it's full, and I think this is what healing feels like. And there are hard days and there are all kinds of things, but to be able to look up from the muddiness that life can be and see just a little more clearly is so majestic to me. So yeah, Soliloquy Ice Queen is coming out next Sunday. Oh my God. Let's talk about boundaries. I think it's interconnected with what I've collectively seen about people struggling to create. And in order to create and to make new things out of the realm and a world that we decide to go into, shout out to my last episode, as a creative. And that is just, I think a creative is honestly being present in this world and partaking in the awe that it is. And sometimes it's seeing what other people can't see for themselves. I think that sometimes we forget the joy in creating, and we put all this pressure in making things happen, right? Because, I mean, unless, you have a deadline or something. But I think we forget that we started creating because it brings us peace and joy. And I think that, and I quote this from the Ascension event that I went to from poet 𝗦𝗍𝗓 𝗡𝗠𝗠. If you don't know who he is, make your Googles. Someone asked about writer's block. And he responded, just shut up. We tend to create and we're writing and we're doing these things, but it's us talking to the world, expressing ourselves to the world. And sometimes we have to get up from our medium and live. Things come when they're supposed to. I don't care how, abstract that sounds. That is just what it is. If you are not allowing yourself space to be free in your creativity, then you're going to continuously encounter a block. A block isn't because it's stopping you because you're not supposed to do it anymore. It's that you need a perception shift. Why boundaries? Boundaries sometimes has to be referred to within ourselves. I know that I am learning how to surrender, right? I think that there is an arrogance to me of thinking that I know more than the universe. And I am just, I'm going to be so triggered when I hear this tomorrow. But it's my reality. And then the universe is like, oh, word? All right. Cool. Run it then. And then things don't work out. And all goes to hell and blows up in flames. And I'm like, so universe, about that plan that I know you have that's better than mine, how, let me just jump back into the car and let you drive. I have to create a boundary of where I don't overexert my desire to control every outcome in order to thrive. Soliloquy of an Ice Queen started out as poems. I wanted it to look some certain way. It's coming out a whole different kind of way. Because I needed to live before it came out into the world. There were experiences and cycles and emotions I hadn't encountered yet that needed to be put into this book. I wanted to have this book done years ago, like 2-3 years ago. And then, life was like, not yet. I had to do this last year. I had to push my release date. Not yet. I also had unequal exchanges in my relationships of all kinds. Boundaries. Learning how I need to be properly loved and letting others know. And vice versa. If you're in relationships, especially if you're a creative of any kind of art, and I feel like this is a major key, so listen, and you are unable to create, ask yourself why. Is that the right place for you to be? Maybe you just need a break just to see if something will come back. Or maybe it's so fulfilling that you don't feel the need to create. But does that, in my opinion, in my case, I can't apply this to anybody else but me. If I can't write with you around, are you really supposed to be around? If I am not inspired by living and having you sharing life with me, am I supposed to be sharing life with you? Sometimes we have a block because we are trying to pour into empty wells, because they're not even cups anymore. There was a time frame that expanded within years where I could not create. I would try. And I would try. And now I look back and it's that I had to shut up, as in put my pen up, and live and ride the roller coaster that is life. And once I was done being on the roller coaster, then I was like, oh, here are all of these poems that were waiting for me. So I've learned to, and I'm still learning, the equal give and take in all of my relationships matter. If I do not have the space to be myself and honest and authentic and supportive without feeling like I'm being extracted from, what is we doing? It doesn't always feel